WildEarth has always done and always will do is giving you a perfectly realistic, live, immersive experience into the bush. We're sharing this. I'm not going on game drive with a camera. You're not going on game drive with some strange random person talking to you. That's the great thing about this, is we really get to share experiences, we really get to share friendships in many cases, and we certainly get to share the mutual moment experience of being in the bush. And that's brilliant. For me, this is personally hugely exciting. I've always been a big fan of it. But one of the things in the bush that we have done, and that we're going to do more of again, and I'm just as excited about it as you, is to get out on foot. Now, when you're driving along and you get a track and you have a quick look and you come back to the car, that's one thing, and it's also interesting. As soon as you step onto the ground, as soon as you touch the earth with your feet, there is a little bit of a heightening of senses again. But to walk around in the bush, to go for 10 minutes, half an hour of walking in the bush, tracking things, trying to find some of these big animals we so enjoy seeing, is not only hugely exciting, but it's also a very special experience. It's a very visceral, a very intimate, a very sensitive experience to the environment. Your adrenaline goes up a little bit, your senses heighten, you hear better, you see better, you smell better, and you also understand better. You get to touch things and look at things that you might not have noticed from a vehicle, just because of not only the physical, but also the mental space you're in. So walking is very, very exciting. And I've always loved it. Many of you that have been on safaris have loved it, I know. And Scott, I know, is a big fan of being on foot as well. He's on camera, and it's a very special way of doing camera. Herman can certainly attest to that. And Stefan, who I only met a week ago when we came out here, is a hugely knowledgeable guy, a hell of a nice guy as well. Sorry, I meant to say a heck of a nice guy. That slipped out. But a really, really nice guy with phenomenal knowledge. Stefan has got knowledge that many, many guides can only dream about. You know, he's forgotten things that people are still learning. But not only that, he's got a great sensitivity to the environment. I've had many talks with him now, and apart from being a very nice guy, you meet people and you know that they've got an understanding as well of the environment beyond just things that you've learned. You know, it's oh yeah, he just said, the Americans, Native Americans said that you get a sensitivity to nature if you live close to it. So Stefan is going to show us more of what's going on foot. So I just want to hear that again. I've just got a bit of information there. So maybe I did that a bit long, but it's really a fascinating and great experience to be on foot. And we're going to be joining Stefan very, very shortly. Let's just make sure when the right moment is.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Sunrise Bushwalk with myself, Stefan, and Scott behind the camera. And we've literally run into this area. We were busy following up in the area for some predator sign, and while we were sitting there in the bush, we were listening to kudu's alarm calling and impala giving alarm calls, and Scott and I literally just as fast as we could made it into this area. When we got here though, the impala and the kudu had stopped calling, and so now what we're doing is we're sitting and we're waiting to see if we can hear anything else. So far we've got some squirrel calling on our right hand side, we've got some impala calling on our left hand side, but it doesn't sound frantic enough. So Scott and I decided that we'd show you something that we found over here around the pan, which is quite interesting. While we wait for the bush to tell us what's going on, we thought that we'd show you. It's a little plant that grows on disturbed areas, and as you can see from where we're sitting at the moment, it looks like a big mud puddle, and that's exactly what it is. It's a wallow, and this particular plant likes to grow around wallows. It enjoys areas of disturbed soils, but it's got quite an interesting use. The local people strip the leaves, and they use it for a variety of different things, but the most interesting thing that they use it for is a type of soap. Now, in this wallow, I've got some water that's left over, as you can see, quite muddy and disgusting. And I'm mixing some of this water with this plant. And while I'm doing it, as you can see, it's becoming increasingly more slimy. Have a look at that. That's just all the soap. It's called saponins, and it's coming out of this plant. There's quite a few plants actually that have saponins, but this is the only one that I know of that grows in this particular area. Now, You can wash your clothes with this. You can also wash your hands. They make for actually quite a lovely hand wash. And it washes off quite easily as well. So once you've finished, you clean your hands. Well, as much as what you can anyway. And then you carry on. Now what I wanted to show you was where it gets another name for itself from. And I dug around on it, and this interesting thorn, as you can see, you've got two horns, and it's called a sheep's thorn, or a devil's thorn. And this is exactly made for stepping. The seed itself is actually made to be picked up by animals with cloven hooves. They step on it, it sticks to their hoof, and they walk. As you can see, it's quite aerodynamic, for lack of a better word, and then they scrape it off, and that's how the seed goes from place to place. So quite nice, eh? Now, we have been hearing a lot of alarm calls around. We're going to be following up on these alarm calls. It sounds quite frantic at the moment. I'm glad that we stood by here. I quickly want to wipe off my hands. I'll just go again with your last message. We're live.
So we've just done a complete circuit of that area, up around where the lines were, and exactly what Pete said. The tracks go over into Buffelshoek, which is the property, the reserve next to us here. So they may come back in. We'll keep our ears open during the night, that's for sure, and there's a lot of people that have intelligence that can tell us what's going on. Just going to see what that is on the road up there. Right off in the distance, Andrew, you might see just standing on the road. It might just be Impala, but it's always good to have a look.
Could be maybe a kudu?
It's a kudu, that's exactly what it is. So a couple of kudu crossing over. We might just go down there and have a little look at them. One of my favourite antelope, kudu. So off in the distance, your naked eye as a human being has a tendency to play tricks on you sometimes. You want it to be, you think, oh, is that a lion or is that a leopard or whatever. But a lot of the time it's antelope, and a lot of the time they're as important, as beautiful to go and have a look at.